We're back. Welcome to another episode of Contramundum. We are going through the second half of the chapter against Christianity in Peter Leithart's book.
And chapter 2.
No, we're not.
Oh, yes, we
We're
are.
like a half an hour late.
Oh, yes, we are.
Gary's not even here to help us. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Now we'll play the intro.
The American Revolution, in other words, is never finished. It must always be renewed.
Greater love than this hath no man, than that he lay down his life for his friend.
What if it's not envy?
We must take back our cities, and take back our culture, and take back our country. God bless you, and God bless America.
Okay.
All right. Well,
We're Gary list today.
look, Gary, listen. I can't see the comments. You stole my computer.
Yeah.
And what else is wrong? Nothing.
Everything is wrong. Everything is terrible. CJ's black pilling again.
Actually, I'm feeling pretty good.
Good.
Feeling very good.
That's good, man.
Yeah, that was fun this morning.
You're
Are
feeling
we allowed to
good?
say what we did? Yeah, we can say what we did.
I don't think there's any, prohibition on talking about what we did this morning.
We'll see. We'll keep everyone in
Secret.
suspense.
Secret activities.
Yes, it was very exciting.
It was fun.
Well, chapter 1.
Yeah, we're still on chapter 1 here.
Why are we reading this book?
Why? Yeah, why indeed?
Why are we reading
Why
this
are we reading this? Yeah, I mean, if you didn't watch last week's video, stop now and watch that before proceeding to this one. But in that one, I said that this book is, I think one of Lighthart's best, and it is a very strong critique of modernity. It's a very strong critique of particularly modern Christian way of thinking.
Modern evangelicalism.
Yeah, modern evangelicalism especially, but not exclusively, just evangelicalism. And I think it cuts to the heart of so many of our problems and lays them bare. And it opens your mind up to alternative and older and, dare we say, more biblical ways of thinking about the world. So we're on part 12 of the first chapter. And by the way, you should go get yourself a copy of this book. It's not too expensive. I think it's like $15 or $20. It's worth, highly recommend buying it or listening to the audiobook. I think it might even be Kindle. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can just download it. So anyway, go ahead with part 12.
Part 12. We are ill-served by translations that render politio, is that how you say that? As conduct yourself.
The chat, the Greek scholars in the chat can correct us.
Fortunately, I can't read it.
Yeah. It's all Greek to you.
By suppressing the political dimensions of such terms, translators betray themselves. They are thoroughly in the grip of Christianity.
And again, Christianity is not
for him,
the biblical religion.
We should define it again.
Yeah, I'll say it here. Yeah, the way he defines Christianity, I mean, obviously it's unique to this book.
For him, it's like a modernist construct.
Yeah, the modernist it's the Christian concession to modernity is what he calls Christianity in this book. Anywhere else that he writes, he doesn't say Christianity.
It's meant to be provocative.
Yeah.
All right, section 13.
Yeah, the most common term for the church in the New Testament is ecclesia, the word behind the English church, or the German Kirche. Though, I added that myself. That's where it comes from, is German, English language. I just wanted to get that out there. Though frequently etymologized as the called out ones, the word means assembly, the called together ones. And like the other terms we have been examining, was originally a political term. Ecclesia was used in the Septuagint, LXX, the Greek translation of the Old Testament. There it described the assembly of Israel for covenant making at Sinai, Deuteronomy 4, 9, and 18. For the dedication of the temple, 1 Kings 8. For public repentance. For dedication of the city after exile, Nehemiah 5, 13, and so on. and for other religious and national purposes, Judges chapter 20. At times, it refers to a permanent institution of Israelite social and political life, Deuteronomy 23:1. By taking over the LXX usage, the church was claiming to be the true assembly of Yahweh, the fulfillment of the Sinai assembly, the people who had returned from exile, and the new nation of Israel. In the Greek world, ecclesia referred to the assembly of citizens of the polis. When Aristotle spoke of the sovereign assembly in Greek democracy, he spoke of the ecclesia. When any important business faced the state, the citizens would gather in the theater or other public space as the ecclesia to deliberate. In short, the church presented herself not as another sect or cult that existed under the umbrella of the polis. She was an alternative body for the city and the beginning of a new city. So,
I was just listening this morning to James Jordan lecture, and he emphasized the fact that the church is a political institution. And one of the chief characteristics of the modern age is that politics and church do not interact at all.
yes,
That politics and Christianity have nothing to do with each other.
they're not allowed to
In
interact.
fact, that even might be one of the most obvious characteristics of modern Christianity is to depoliticize it.
Yes.
In fact, what's that book by the Unpolitical Church?
I'm not.
Okay, it was like a major Baptist evangelical guy.
Okay.
The Unpolitical Church, and it strikes me as crazy how far I've come personally in understanding this. Like if you were to summarize modern two kingdoms theology, it would basically be the depolitization of the church. And what Lightheart is saying is he wants to repoliticize the church, because the church is a challenge to the claim of the old kings, of the old political orders. The church represents the very controversial statement that Christ is king and therefore is political.
Yeah, if Jesus is king, like, and that's the thing. Like, how do you have a king of kings who is apolitical? Yeah, right. That's nonsense.
Because it's a Gnostic reference point, So he's king of my heart or something.
He's king of kings in some spiritual sense, not in any real.
Or someday
sense.
he'll be a king, 1,000 years from now.
Yeah,
or whatever.
far off in the eschaton. But right now, he's not really king over anything other than my wee little heart.
Yeah. I was thinking, it just plays into like the idea of liberalism. He talks about this a lot, but like the essence of liberalism, I was thinking the other day, is that you can believe whatever you want to believe. You just can't take it seriously.
Yeah, whatever you want, you can believe whatever you want to, so long as it does not challenge the fundamental precepts of liberalism.
Right, which Christ is king does actually.
Yes, it does. As a matter of fact,
if ecclesia is a political term,
it is.
Then it challenges liberalism.
Yes, yeah, it absolutely is. You think about when Jesus calls the disciples and tells them that they are an ecclesia. In Matthew 15, no, Matthew 17 or 18. I haven't had enough coffee today. But when he calls them, he tells them that they are the church, right? The assembly. There's no way, especially for them, to understand that in any other way than a political term, right? That you are a new polis within Israel. Right, an alternative one, a better one, a greater one, right? So what does that mean? Because they're still part of the body politic of Israel. What does it mean for the people of Ephesus or Philippi or Corinth when they're still part of the body politic of those city states, still part of the Roman Empire, right? They're still part of that oikumene. Right. What does that mean if they're an alternative polis? Right. What does it mean for Christians today who are part of the American Empire, part of their local municipalities and states and so forth, that they're part of an alternative polis? Right. Even just like we're going to go really far afield here, but even the idea, the Greek conception of democracy is also really interesting, and the way that it's appealed to by modern, neoliberals, multicultural, pluralistic, yada yada yada, where it's this idea that anyone, anywhere. I mean, really, like the whole globalist project is that all 8 billion people on planet Earth can become American citizens and vote in American elections. Right? They don't have any objections to that statement. Right? If you ask them, right, well, where's the line? Where do we draw the line where we say no more? Mm-hmm. They have no line. Right? Everyone on Earth can be part of America and part of our system and vote for president, vote for everything. If you told that to Aristotle, or you told that to or Plato, or any ancient Greeks, that would be absurd to them. Yeah. Right. Because the polis is a self-contained people, mm-hmm. right? Or the demos is their people, right? It isn't barbarians. It isn't people outside of it would be part of the demos. It is, and they're not part of the polis, right? It's only our people that are part of it. That and not even everybody. Only those who are able to rule themselves are fit to rule others, and so it's a very limited franchise, and that's who is part of the assembly, and of course the irony is, within church, it's a far broader ecclesia. It's a far broader assembly. It is everyone that is allowed in it. So anyway, I guess noodle on those things.
Paragraph 14. Should I do that?
Yeah, read 14 for it.
Pagan opponents of the church have sometimes been more astute sociologists than Christians. Celsus's objections to the church have been summarized as follows. Here was a religious association, however extensive by Tertullian's calculations, behaving like a nation, lacking a nation's history and traditions, yet binding its membership to allegiance to traditions and history of its own making. To be sure, Christians in the patristic age did have some sense of their national and civic identity, the fact that they were entering the same market as the Roman Empire, the Greco-Roman city, and other imperial powers of the ancient world. Aristides compared the church favorably to other nations when he claimed that Christians were the ones beyond all nations who have found the truth, and the rhetoric of Christians as the third race was common among writers in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. Apostolic ecclesiology was not entirely maintained, however. Tertullian was inclined to treat the church as something like a philosophical club. The Alexandrian theologians treated faith as gnosis, a perfect form of philosophy, and not a few monks and hermits in the early centuries heard the gospel as a call to forsake the city for the desert. Already in the patristic era, Christianity was making its appearance.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this. I mean, the underlying current here is that for him, Christianity, biblical life, needs to be done in public as a community of people that engages the civic sphere, right? Mm-hmm. And so therefore, if you think of Christianity as something that can only be done in private in the catacombs, you're not actually thinking biblically. That's his point.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I do think that God used the monastics in their own way to preserve the records, to shape the history and imaginations of Christendom going forward. So I do think that there's a part of that. I'm not like anti-monastic like a lot of Protestants are, but like I think his underlying point though is that a lot of Christians privatize and relegate Christianity to the margins of society.
Yeah, even the monasteries. I mean, the monasteries were public institutions, right? Certainly for private, for monks, right? People that have secluded themselves and so forth. But nevertheless, they were public institutions supported by kings, right? I mean, of course, he's talking about like the early desert monks and hermits and so forth that preceded that. That was prior to really the age of Christendom. But even that was far less of this modernistic thing that we have today. So yeah, I don't know. Let's keep going though, because I really do want to get to chapter 2. So part 15.
No brakes on this train.
That's right. Ask the average Christian about the relationship between church and salvation, and you are likely to get one of two answers. Either, if the Christian is a rather old-fashioned Roman Catholic, that the church is the reservoir of salvation to which one must repair to receive grace, or if the Christian is rather a common sort of evangelical, that salvation occurs apart from the church, though it is a help along the way. Despite the apparent differences between these two views, they're fundamentally similar. Both conceive of salvation as a something, almost a substance, that can be stored in a reservoir or infused into sinners directly by God. Both believe that the whole point of salvation is the salvation of individuals. For the Catholic, the church is an essential conduit of grace, but salvation is what happens to the individual. For the evangelical, the church is not a non-essential aid to individual salvation. In both cases, Christianity is looming in the background. Biblically, however, salvation is not a stuff that one can get, whether through the church or through some other means. It is not an ether floating in the air, nor a thing, nor some kind of substance. Salvation describes fallen creation reconciled to God, restored to its created purpose, and set on a trajectory leading to its eschatological fulfillment. Ultimately, salvation will describe the creation as a whole once it is restored to God and glorified. Romans 8:18-25. Grammatically, salvation is a noun. Theologically, it is always adjectival. Nor is salvation adjectival merely of individuals. If salvation is the recreation of man through Christ and the Spirit, which it is, then salvation must be restored relationships and communities as much as individuals. If Christ has not restored human community, if society is not saved as much as the individual, then Christ has not restored man as he really is. Salvation must take a social form, and the church is that social form of salvation. The community that already, though imperfectly, has become the human race as God created it to be, the human race that is becoming what God intends it to be. The church is neither a reservoir of grace nor an external support for the Christian life. The church is salvation. Ooh, that's very good. And I mean, it gives, it's actually a very, like, you remember at the beginning of all of the controversy over Christian nationalism, and you'd have people like Owen Strahan saying, there's no such thing as a Christian nation. There's only Christian individuals. Mm-hmm. Actually, only individuals can be Christian. You remember that?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Yeah. I mean, read that paragraph, right? With that in the back of your head, mm-hmm. right? That conversation in the back of your head. Like, of course, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Right. That there is I mean, there inescapably is a social dynamic that gets saved. Right. You have Christian families, right, rather than merely individuals. And it isn't just, a collection, of mom and dad and kids who are saved that become Christians. It's those relationships, right? The way of relating to your father and to your mother and to your siblings, mm-hmm. and to your children.
It's the complex of relations that are saved. And that's the controversial point. I think one of the ways that like modern evangelicals think about the relationship between individuals, the church, is that if you collect all the individuals together, you get the church. Yeah. Whereas what he's saying is the church is this body, and individuals can participate in that thing that is saved,
and do participate in it. Yeah, and
this is a very anti-American, like anti-individualist perspective.
It's anti-modern. Yeah.
Well, but it's an ontological point of view that the thing that is real is the complex of things. Right? It's the complex itself.
Yeah.
And the individual can participate in that, but the church is the thing that's saved, not as a collection of individuals, but something that pre-exists the individuals.
That's right.
And the individuals can come alongside it and join it.
And are part of it. And of course, obviously, you don't have it without the individuals in the first place. But it isn't just merely the collection of individuals. It is the complex of relationships as in one body, as a people. Yeah. That is salvation. And this is like what he's referring to. It is how the New Testament describes salvation, right? When you read it, it isn't just, okay, you said your sinner's prayer and now you're saved and go off on your merry way. It is a people together that are being saved. Mm-hmm. It isn't merely individuals.
I think moderns have a hard time with that. That's why they oppose things like speaking of like the American people as a unit, as a complex, right? Even they, like, you can see this, like the political side of this is the same as the evangelical side of this. It's all the same. Propositional nationhood. It's just the secular version of evangelical Christianity. Yeah, as he's describing it here.
And because like church is merely, it's a merely consumer product. Well, I go to, we're church shopping, and I'm going to this church or I'm going to that church. We like the children's programs at this church, but we like the band at that church. And, that church is just a little bit too big. Oh, that one's a little bit too small. Like that's the kind of language here. You're looking for a product, right, that individuals can buy. It's not, which is hilarious because the very same people, they're never like, oh, I'm shopping for a favorite NFL team right now. Yeah, I'm looking for my favorite team. I'm not really sure. The Chiefs are really good always, but I really don't like Taylor Swift, so no, I'm not going to do that. The Patriots used to be good, but now they're bad, right? People don't do that. It's like I was born a fan of the Minnesota Vikings. My dad loved the Vikings. My grandpa loved the Vikings. The Vikings didn't exist for my great grandpa. All right. But like, that's how like around here, like college football, mm-hmm. right? No one's like shopping for a favorite college football team, right? They wear a Tennessee Volunteers onesie when they come, like right after they escape the womb, boom, they pop that on, that orange. And right, nobody's shopping for it, mm-hmm. right? That's absurd to think that way. Yeah. And 200 years ago, 150 years ago, the very idea of like church shopping would be equally absurd, mm-hmm. right? As saying, I'm in the market for a new college football team. Like no, we don't talk that way. What are you, nuts? And because that is a collective group where you inherit it from your parents.
Yeah, you're born into it.
Yeah. And you're born to these obligations and responsibilities. And then it's an identity that shapes who you are.
Yeah, and you didn't choose to be part of that community. Like that's the controversial part. But you didn't choose. It's not by your consent that you're part of that.
Yeah, you didn't grow up and say like, actually I don't really think that team's very good. They're not one of the best teams in the SEC. Really, I should be an Alabama fan or a Georgia fan. Like that. No, like nobody does that. Like you've been shaped by this people.
Yeah, the community precedes the individual.
Right. All of your family, your uncles, all your buddies at school, everybody around you loves the Vols. And is that how they say it here? The Vols. You don't pay attention to this stuff? Oh man, they'd kick you out of this town. And like you didn't choose any of that. Yeah. Right. It was foisted upon you. And most of pre-modern life, all of pre-modern life was that way. Right. You're not making a conscious decision. I guess I'm going to choose to be this. Right. Now, all of modern life is you can just be whatever you want to be, except for college football. Number 16. In our day, physical distances have been compressed by advances in communications and transportation. But have cultural distances been compressed? Do we live in a global village? There's vigorous debate about the answers to those questions. Some deny the existence of a global culture or highlight its limits, while others stress how Western and especially American ways of doing things have affected local cultures throughout the world. Wherever the sociological truth lies, many believe that a global culture is emerging and that perception is itself an important feature of our world. Even those who embrace global culture, however, recognize that the world does not, as yet, have a cosmopolis to provide institutional support for their cosmopolitanism. The absence or weakness of global economic, political, and cultural institutions is a source of concern for globalists. They're not satisfied by global diffusion of music tastes, clothing styles, films, or the universal desire for jeans and Nikes and baseball caps. They want a global village with a global mayor and a global town council to go with it. Many Christians are frightened by plans for one world institutions, but for all the wrong reasons. The United Nations is not a threat because it undermines the sovereignty of the United States. Blue helmets are not important as a challenge to American autonomy any more than the Roman eagle was important because it overthrew the autonomy of the Hellenistic city-states that preceded it. McDonaldization is a problem for Christians, but not primarily because it is gauche, though it is. Fears like this provide evidence that Christians evaluate the world in terms of Christianity, not in terms of the gospel. If we assume Christianity, globalization is a political or cultural or economic rather than a religious concern, and our opposition will be framed in terms of that the threat that globalization poses to the current geopolitical or geoeconomic or geocultural realities. From the viewpoint of the gospel, globalization is a religious and political trend, just as the Roman Empire was as religious as it was political. Rome was important for the early Christians, however, not because it threatened local cultures, but because it was a counterfeit world empire, which is to say a counterfeit church. Today, McDonaldization is a challenge to Christians because it involves the spread of Western idolatry of mammon on a global scale. The United Nations is a threat because it is a false church claiming a false Catholicity. Globalists are enemies because they preach a false gospel, an eschatological message of international peace and plenty that will be achieved through liberal political and capitalist economic institutions. All right, I know you have thoughts about that.
Yeah, I think you can really see this. Like if you look at the beginning stages of the United Nations internationalization in the 20th century, a lot of it was a religious project.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we give enough thought to that.
Or even,
it was a secular church.
Even Wilsonianism in the First World War was like almost overtly a religious project.
Well, think about like spreading democratic values in George Bush's project.
Yeah.
Right? It's a secular religion.
Yeah, this will magically turn Iraq into a place as nice as America.
Well, and also like picture the eschatological nature of Fukuyama, right?
Yeah. History has ended.
History has ended, and liberal democracy is like political form perfected for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it needed to be exported.
Everyone can't get any better than that.
Yeah, everyone needed to jump on board with this.
Yeah.
It was a religious project.
Yeah. I like that you're using the past tense.
What? It was?
You weren't even thinking, yeah, it was
Well,
it's gone, it's dead,
it's dead,
it's dying. Yeah.
It
is. Praise God for that.
I don't think he's taking this to mean that we can't have political concern or like I'm gonna be careful how I choose this, but like there are things related to the fact that we are Americans that concern us as Americans in this.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think he's saying that those objections are worthless or you shouldn't have them.
So an English Christian would have slightly different flavor of concerns than an American concern related to their nationality.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and I think the concerns, even though he downplays them, even relating it to the first century, right? If you're an Athenian in the Roman oikumene, right, you do care that Rome is dominating everything, and your local culture is, well, one, being expropriated by the Romans and bastardized, but also that it's dying out, that you care about such things. But of course, what ultimately killed it wasn't Romanism. Maybe a different word than that. Wasn't the culture, the religion, the politics of the Roman Empire. That's not what killed it. Ultimately, it was the Christian religion, the actual one that killed the ancient polis. Even though, maybe I would say it redeemed it. It redeemed it within the church. I mean, it's certainly continued on, right? There's still a Greece.
Mhm.
There still are Greeks, and there's still Greek Christianity. But yeah, I think I think it's an interesting question. I mean, the question of globalism too is, now that we can almost look at it in retrospect. I think, like what you're using in the past tense, just as another aside, that after all of the sanctions, after the Russian invasion of Ukraine happened, and they basically nationalized all the Starbucks and McDonald's and KFCs there, and
Wait, really?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
like they took them over, they made them Russian. Of course, they like produced the same products there, but like I think that's kind of, that might be the first nail in the coffin of globalization, right? If the symbol of globalization is, American consumerism conquered the Soviet Union, and you put up Starbucks and McDonald's in the former Soviet Union, and now it's everywhere. I think on every continent but Antarctica, there are Starbuckses, and McDonald's, and so, right, that is receding now, and now maybe the American empire will last for 1,000 years. Maybe it will, but the global system, I don't know. I think, over the next 50 years, I think it will begin to recede. There'll be a far greater degree of national distinctiveness. Nations choosing to pursue their own interests, economically and politically. And so the question of that for the church.
That's funny because, like, we just had another hit piece on us by Phil, and
oh yeah, I forgot about that already.
Well, but like, it's interesting because one of the things that people in our circle say is like, this empire cannot last forever. There's been so much financial malfeasance, so much moral ineptitude. Like there's no way this thing can last in its old condition. Nevertheless, in that situation, the church obviously can last beyond these empires.
The church is going to last. Yeah.
So I do think the American empire will recede, and that's going to cause, all kinds of social strife. Yeah. And what is the church's response to that? Because the church is actually going to benefit, because it always does. The church has been guaranteed to benefit.
And it will, I think, and it already is, awakening the Christian religion from the doldrums and slumber, and obsequiousness to modernism.
Yeah.
Right. That and that's really what, like, the whole controversy of Christian nationalism, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I mean, even from the get-go, and I said this like right from the beginning, it's like, I don't really like the term that much, but like you need some kind of catch-all term for Christianity that is somewhat illiberal, that is, that is biblical, right? That does not view things through the lens of modernism. That views it through the Bible's own, lens, I guess you could say. And that's one that doesn't make democracy a virtue, however good of a governing system it is, and I think it largely has been.
It had its functions.
That doesn't view that as the highest virtue, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't teach that, doesn't preach that. Many American Christians believe that that's there somehow. Like that's another Owen Straynism. Where it's like, I worship democracy. Well, listen, buddy. Right. I think it's good too. I like being able to vote for president. Like that's nice.
I don't think there really is any ideal system. I think like
exactly,
history provides the soil, and different things work in different scenarios.
Yeah, for different peoples and so forth.
The monarchy in England was fine for its time and its moment.
Yeah, if I was
the Americans needed to challenge monarchy within their moment, within their context, and that's.
And we have our own things to challenge.
We have our own things to challenge.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Maybe it's just because, like, read a lot of history, and I don't think,
But this idea that democracy has to last forever, I think, is insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. But this is one of somebody like Owen believes, I think, and I don't want to be fair to him, but I think he does, and I think it largely is because he is not steeped in history at all. Like he is a disciple, whether he knows it or not, of Francis Fukuyama, and I think, like, I mean, really, like, if you sent him back in a DeLorean, to 10th century England, and he could speak, the Saxon language, and he's talking to King Alfred. He's like, no, you can't be in charge.
Yeah.
We need to vote. We all need to vote. Well, who gets to vote? Everybody. Everybody gets to vote. The men, the women, right? The peasants. Everybody gets to vote, and we'll get to vote for who gets to be king, right? Like they would probably like execute him, right? If he did, like they would, and some of it is like, I go back to that. It's like, no, I would prefer to live under King Alfred than a democratic system in that moment, because I'm going to be murdered by Danes.
Mm-hmm.
My farm is going to be destroyed. I'm going to be killed. Like, you're in charge, Alfred. Where do we go fight? Right? Like it's what you're saying, that the systems that come about
and the point,
are fitting to the moment in time.
Yes.
That
well, exactly. So the point here is
context.
The point here is you're not telling anyone to stop voting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's how people say this. Oh, so you think
nobody should stop voting then?
Well, no, within our context, within the paradigm of possibilities, go vote for Donald Trump or Vance or whatever.
Yeah, definitely vote for J.D. Vance in 2028. He didn't pay me to say that.
But not because democracy is sacred or something, but just because within our current situation, that's the useful, prudent thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's our system. That's what we have. We live under the Constitution of the United States. We do anyway. The left doesn't. But that's a discussion for another day.
And if you're married, you get 2 votes.
That's so number 17. If we are preaching the gospel faithfully, we will clash with the various proliferating religions of the postmodern world, with Mormons, Hare Krishna, Moonies, Scientologists, but we will also be clashing with other competitors. The church's competitors are nation states and international bodies like the United Nations. The church's ethos and culture are not just a challenge to other religions, but to the ethos of Americanism and the culture of globalization, insofar as such an ethos and culture exist. But we do not preach the gospel faithfully. We preach Christianity, and therefore we avoid the clash. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because, like, look, I see myself in this historically, but, like, juxtaposing the gospel with Christianity there, and the gospel is not something that's privatized strictly to the individual and his assent.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
The gospel itself is a public proclamation of political relevance.
Well, and it challenges it challenges public things, right? It will, right? I mean, and that's what I think actually, like, the controversy of Christian nationalism is bringing out. It's that a demodernized, a Christianity stripped of Enlightenment rules, right? A Christianity that is itself again, an actually biblical Christianity, an historic Christianity, when it's expressed, challenges the prevailing ideologies and actual religious sentiments of the world. Like, that's why Owen Strachan freaks out about democracy and things like that, because that's you're attacking his idols. Right, the gods he actually worships, democracy and equality and freedom, whatever that is. Right, you're challenging those idols by saying Christ is king. Mm-hmm. Christ is king. Right, the U.S. Constitution is not king. Christ is. Right, like they had that today. Like my friend Gabe Wrench, I saw somebody sent me some tweets. I saw them. Yeah, I still see them. Even though I'm not online as much anymore, and he was saying no king but Christ, It's like, okay,
I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, okay, you know, whatever. Other people addressed it. We don't need to. But it's funny. Like people never say, "Oh, Jesus is king," even over the U.S. Constitution, right? And I don't know. Maybe. Actually, I think Gabe would say that. I'm confident Gabe would say that. But a lot of people that say that no king but Christ, no king but like they wouldn't say that Jesus is king over the U.S. Constitution. And if you're a Christian, you have to believe that he is. Right? That's not optional. That's not like you can't hold those two things together. Right? Jesus is the ultimate sovereign. Right? Not just over my little heart and all of that, over everything. Right? He reigns over heaven and earth. All authority is given to him.
And I think the Constitution is completely consistent with the kingship of Christ. Especially when it was actually enforced.
Well, when we had it, when we actually followed the U.S. Constitution, there wasn't a conflict there. Yeah. Today.
Today, it's like the Constitution. There's a new Constitution.
We have a new one. We have a new one, and that says that if you're a Christian baker, you have to bake sodomy cakes. And that's what our new Constitution says.
I can read.
Go ahead.
According to the standard story, modern liberal political order took shape during the early modern period as a response to the savage wars of religion that shook Europe in the decades following the Reformation.
Here, pause for a second. This is like the Redditor point. Right?
It is.
Like this is like religion. Everybody you believe in religion, then everybody dies. Everybody starts killing each other. And it's like, okay, like if you total up the whole, I mean, maybe it's a trivial point, but you total up the whole death count of the wars of religion,
compared to the
20th century, just in World War II, much less the entire 20th century, where hundreds of millions of people died, not over overt like actual religions, but over religions in the form of ideology. Yeah. Of where we've escaped from religion, and what does it result in? Hundreds of millions of deaths.
People also don't understand that like those wars of religion, they weren't wars that came out of like disagreeing with certain propositions.
You think you should baptize babies, and I don't? We're gonna kill each other.
Religion and politics was so intertwined that these were clashes of group interests.
Yeah,
that's what these were.
It was politics.
Yes, it was politics. It wasn't a debate club turning into a fist fight.
Yeah, that's right. It was one sovereign defending the interests of his people and his territory
against other claimants,
against others. Yeah.
Anyways, that is a Reddit point.
Yeah. Anyway, continue on far-sighted politics.
Far-sighted politicians concluded it was dangerous to permit theology to dominate or even enter public life. Religion is irrational, it was argued, and when religious passion invades politics, the only possible result is bloodshed. Better to organize institutions based on universal reason, institutions that will keep the peace. The best way to do that, it was argued, was to push religious and theological claims and issues far to the edges of political life. Privatizing religion was the price of public peace. On this point, political conservatism and political liberalism are merely variations within a single outlook. Yep. All moderns are liberals. Correct.
Fact check true.
Conservative columnist George Will provides a convenient and appalling example. America's founder, Will has argued, wished to tame and domesticate religious passions of the sort that convulsed Europe. They claim to do so not by establishing religion, but by establishing a commercial republic, capitalism. They aimed to submerge people's turbulent energies in self-interested pursuit of material comfort. In such a system, as Jefferson argued, operations of the mind are not subject to legal coercion, but acts of the body are. Mere belief, said Jefferson, in one God or 20, neither picks one's pockets nor breaks one's legs. Thus, by guaranteeing free exercise of religions, they would make religions private and subordinate. If Will is correct about the intentions of the American founding, the American church-state settlement is founded on heretical ecclesiology. It is founded on Christianity. In fact, this is a good point.
Very important point.
This is very important. We are repealing the American myths of the 20th century, so that's
what Will just said there is one of the chief myths. Yeah.
However, in fact, this is a highly tendentious myth.
Tendentious.
Tendentious myth.
Mendacious.
is of historical significance. Of far greater significance is the fact that the church has, in the main, accepted this mythology as her own. Christians have agreed that we are a petty and volatile bunch, and that it is better if the church does not exercise too much public responsibility.
Yeah.
My complaint is not that Christians have retreated from politics as defined by modernity, and my solution is not that Christians should get off the duffs and become activists. That would simply perpetuate Christianity. Christian political activism is as modern and worldly as Christian political quietism, since both are based on the false and heretical assumption that being the church is not already political activism. Both assume that to be political, we need to do more than preach and live the gospel. My complaint is more fundamental. We have accepted our liberal opponent's account of who we are and no longer see that the gospel is an inherently political announcement, nor that the church is an inherently political community. Much to the delight of our enemies, we have embraced Christianity and thereby have become acclimated to liberal order, which we should recognize as a thoroughly hostile environment.
Yes, precisely. It is. It's interesting.
Basically, like this is true. Like you see this in the, there are some good things about the religious right, of the 1970s and 80s.
Oh, certainly.
But his point is much deeper than that.
Yeah.
Like they were saying, we need to throw Christian interests into the ring of democratic contests.
Yeah,
that was their version of Christian politics.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what it was. And his issue is again, much more deep than that. That we have subjected ourselves to this mythology, and we have agreed that Christianity isn't inherently political at all. Right? We just follow the teachings of Jesus, and in fact, just the word itself. I mean, this is probably one of N.T. Wright's best contributions, among many bad contributions. But one of his good ones is that the word gospel, right? You know what that word is in Greek? You don't know that word? I thought you would know it. Evangelion. Evangelion. Or Evangelion. Depending on how you transliterate it and pronounce it and everything. And you know what that means? You know what that is? Right. So when Caesar Augustus won it at Actium, the Evangelion was pronounced throughout the entire empire, that Rome has been saved. Rome has been saved. Rome has a savior. His name is Augustus. Caesar Augustus. He has saved us. And there's actually, and this is a point. I think Wright makes this point. Other people have made it too. That I think it's Caesarea Philippi. There was an inscription from the very early first century when Augustus was still alive, describing him as the savior of the earth and things like the King of Kings and things like this, where you read it and it's like, wow, that sounds just like a description of Jesus. Like if you redacted who it was about, you would think it's talking about Jesus. And it's like, no, this was about Caesar Augustus. That the very term, our English term, gospel, is an inherently political message. Right? It's the announcement of a new king or the victory of a king. That our king has saved us. Right? So something like in American culture, like VE Day,
it's saved
like
us.
It's a gospel announcement.
Does it also mean that all the other contestants for the throne have been conquered?
Yes. Yeah. That any other claimants are gone.
The old creation, the old world was dominated by all these other claimants, right?
Right. It's also used
powers. Babylon, Persia, Rome, and all of them.
All the principalities and powers
destroyed.
Yes.
By Christ
and defeated by him. And
he inherited the world.
And it's also used for the announcement that the king or the emperor and that an heir has been born to him, right? Because that also saves the kingdom from civil war, from alternative claimants.
This is
competing.
so beautiful to me because,
That the kingdom is saved.
as you know, I had a hard time with this for so long. That gospel was strictly an individual reference point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only very recently that I've really come to submit myself to this framework. The political Christ.
That he is political
but also
it's
that
inextricable.
that gospel is a reference to the relation between Christ and the old creation and all the old gods, all the old leaders, who each of whom wanted total domination of the world. That was the point of the old creation, and none of them can have it, and all of them lost their empires, and it was a total Christian victory, and Christendom was born of that.
Yes, and at this moment,
and that Christendom therefore is good.
Yeah,
it needs to be recovered.
At this moment, they're busily attempting to reclaim their lost empires.
Yes,
and they will lose.
Yes,
right.
Return of the strong gods.
All right, that's why a stronger, more potent Christianity, right? Not using it the way Lightheart does in this book, is there is such a freak out over it because, right, they know what it means.
Yeah.
Right. They know it means that, like, a Christian people that are Christians publicly, a public Christianity, right, that makes public claims, right, that says Jesus is king, whether you like it or not, he is. Right. That's a whole lot different than a Christianity that says, I guess just be nice, or something, like, oh, you believe in Jesus, just be nice now. It's like, no, Jesus is king, right? That's why I obey him. That's why I live in the way that I do. That's why I love my neighbor, because my king has commanded me to, right? That's why. And that is terrifying to the old order.
Yeah, it breaches the non-aggression principle.
That's right. It certainly does. So we're almost done with this section. How far are we? We got maybe 20 minutes left where I got to go to. 19. Nothing seems more commonsensical to many Christians than Tillich's suggestion that religion is the heart of culture, and culture is religion externalized. Yet this suggests that religion is not itself externalized, that religion exists in the heart or the head, either primarily or exclusively. And only at some second stage, if at all, does religion become external. On this thoroughly modern view, religion is essentially individual and private, and only by implication or by outworking is it social and public. Here can be seen why politicians might embrace Christianity. For if Christianity is an internal religion, confined to the conscience or the heart, then the world of justice, public finance, education, international relations, in short, most of the world in which we live, is outside Christianity. And politicians can engage in their public acts without a second thought to what Jesus might have to do with it.
All right, I love this point.
Yes.
Because our whole thing is that, because we've talked about this in the midst of our development, right? Where I always used to say the gospel is something that affects just the individual and his, if he assents the propositions, become saved. And you would shoot back at me and you would say, well, there's implications of the gospel for public life. And what he's saying is that, no, the gospel is public life, and there's implications for what you believe internally.
That's right.
He's flipping the whole thing on its head.
It's completely the other way around.
Yeah,
and you see this with Christian politicians, where it's just like a thin gloss over what they are. It's like, I guess I'm pro-life or something,
or they'll say, like, how do I take my religious convictions and bring them into the public square? Right?
It's like,
no. The whole Christianity is a claim on the public square.
It is the public square.
It is the public square.
Yeah. This part here, like, right, then the world of justice, public finance, education, international relations, in short, most of the world in which we live is outside Christianity. And it's not. Right? It's not. It's all within it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all within it. Jesus is king over all of that stuff, right? Over public finance, right? Imagine if the myriads of Republican representatives and senators who claim to be strong Christians understood that, just even on like on issues of finance, Right? It's like, well, Jesus is against usury. Right? He hates it. Right? Like usury is a very grievous sin.
Mhm.
You better do something about that. Right? He's giving you power. Right? What are you going to do about it? Right? Ban credit cards now. Right? Ban student loans entirely. Right? Ban usury. Ban it all.
Yeah.
And the entire economic system collapses.
No, it's true.
It would. It
Well,
would.
so in that case, biblical Christianity is very dangerous to the current system.
To the current order. Yeah, it
It's
is.
very dangerous. It's actually just the way it was in Rome. It's subversive to it.
Yeah.
That's why they hate it.
That's why they freak out about it.
Mhm.
Right? Because Christianity is about being nice to people and stuff. It's not about banning usury.
Yeah.
Right?
Christianity is definitely about taking care of the poor and the underprivileged and all those things.
But how do you do that? By banning usury.
But it is a direct confrontation to those in power.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, actually, we just in family devotions last night, we just read was it Nehemiah 6, where everyone has lost their land and their property. Their children are in slavery because the nobles lended to them at usury, and Nehemiah comes in and he's like, "No, you're giving it all back to them."
Mhm.
Right. This is ending.
Yeah.
You all the nations are going to look at you and say, like, you sold all your brothers into slavery, right? And it's like, look at our country.
Yeah.
Right. Look at all the people that are in an ocean of debt.
Debt
Right.
slavery is
Right.
satanic. It's
Oh,
satanic.
we banned slavery at the 13th Amendment, CJ. It doesn't exist anymore. And it's like you have young people graduating today with 6 figures of debt that is non-dischargeable,
Mhm.
that they are going to have to pay for the rest of their lives. And we think, oh, this is a great, just on the promise that they might have access to good jobs.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we're importing, like 1 million H-1Bs to take those jobs.
Sick.
And we tell them, we think this is a great system. What a wonderful system. And then you got Ben Shapiro over here is like, oh, well, they signed it. They signed a contract. And many Christians say the same. Well, your yes be yes or your no be no. And it's like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That we've done that to our people, right? That we put them under this. And right, the moment that you have a right-wing Christian politician say, no, we're ending the whole student loan program entirely, right? No more public or private loans at all, right? And we're going to make them all dischargeable, right? They can all declare bankruptcy if they want to, right? Like that one,
Yeah.
like you already see like the GOP, men shifting over to the GOP 18 to 35, right? That will, then you will also get women from that.
We do know that Vance is going to seriously pursue this.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope he does.
So
Like,
the
moment that happened, and that would be a very, and the people who object to it the most will be like boomer Christian conservatives.
Mhm.
Like, oh no, they signed a contract.
Dave Ramsey will be very upset.
Terrible. All right, 20. I think we only have like 2 or 3 sections left in this chapter. We're not going to get to chapter 2. I'm sorry, everyone. 20. Posing the question of Christianity and culture makes it appear that we're dealing with 2 separate things, and that we have to make an effort to show how the 2 relate. Framing the question this way ensures that we're getting off on the wrong foot, and we'll likely never get to the right one. Taking things from the Christianity side, if the Bible teaches that true religion exists only as a heavenly city and holy nation, which it does, then what we're dealing with are not 2 different kinds of things that need to be related, but with 2 cultures that are more or less in conflict. Biblical religion embraces culture. Taking things from the culture side, all cultural effort, building a skyscraper, painting a portrait, erecting a sculpture in the town square, embodies some desire for a better or more beautiful world. Every invention is a wager for utopia. And this vision of the good and the beautiful is ultimately rooted in a religious commitment. Religious factors are not secondary additions to cultural effort. Religious factors are always already there, always incarnate in the cultural pursuits themselves. Culture always embodies religion.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I was having a conversation with another pastor yesterday, and he brought up an interesting point because he said, he took for in graduate school, a bunch of classes on philosophy, particularly philosophy of science and so forth. And the question that all of the academics and all of the people in that realm can't understand is, why did the scientific revolution happen when and where it did? And of course the accompanying industrial revolution, right? Why did it happen when it did? Right? Why didn't it? Because you had all of the economic inputs for it, right? You had all of the base knowledge needed for at least 1,500 years, right? All the things that had to be understood in order for the scientific revolution to take place, right? You had it in the classical or the late classical period. You had it in late antiquity, right? All the stuff you would need for a scientific revolution. So why didn't it happen?
What's the answer to that?
You know the answer.
Well, there's a couple different theories.
Yeah, I think the answer is it ultimately is a cultural one, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's ultimately a question of culture and of religion.
They used to dedicate all those techniques and resources to the building of the church, right?
Well, yes, but I think it's even greater than that. It is, you need you need a people over a wide area, right? A widely dispersed group of people that all believe that the world can get better. And it took like 1,000 years of Christendom to achieve that, right? To achieve internally, everyone believing that the world can actually get better, right? That there are things to be discovered about the world that we don't know yet and worth discovering, right? The ancient mind, I mean, it was inquisitive. It did you have natural research that was done, observation and so forth. You had science, rudimentary science taking place. But fundamentally, they were people that thought everything is the same as it always was. It will always be the same. In infinite recurrence, right? You didn't have an eschatology that thought the world could improve and that you personally could improve it. And it took a very long time for this to bring. You had to have Christendom to bring this about. Mm-hmm. You had to have it. And I think it is, it's interesting, like our modern progressive outlook is that the world, it's this, bastardized Christianity, right? That the world is going to get better, that we're on the right side of history, right? That history will judge this, right? They believe these things, but things actually aren't getting better at all. And like innovation, like technological innovation is largely stalled, right? We think, we have all these innovations coming. AI is going to change the entire world. I remain firmly skeptical, right? I mean, I'm not an AI doomer. I don't think that I think it could have the potency of the internet or phones or things like that. Certainly, but I don't think it's going to revolutionize anything. In fact, it'll probably just make everyone a lot dumber.
I think that's exactly what I think is going to happen.
All right, so 21, CJ.
David Wells is one of the most prominent recent critics of evangelicalism. Modern social and economic development, urbanization, industrialization, telecommunications, etc., have helped to shape a unique consciousness and perspective on life, and this latter is what Wells identifies as modernity. Wells rejects the deterministic view that social and economic factors coerce certain ideas and attitudes, but he argues that social and economic factors exert a shaping influence on consciousness. Modernity, a perspective on life in which biblical religion seems implausible, is the vortex created by the swirling force of modernization. Many of the evangelical proponents of the modernity thesis, including Wells, explicitly base their analysis on the sociological work of Peter Berger. This is a problem. Sociology of religion of the kind that Berger promotes does not merely posit corrections of social and religious factors, as, for example, the observation that Methodists tend to be middle or lower middle class, while upper classes gravitate to the Episcopal Church, sociology adds to this the belief that the social factor has a causative role, and this rests on the prior assumption that social and religious factors are separable, which is distinctly modern assumption. It would be nonsense to ask Moses whether circumcision was a national or religious rite, since the nation was thoroughly religious in its origin and ethos. It would be nonsensical to ask Aaron whether the penal legislation of the Torah was religious or civil, since it was manifestly both. Since the gospel is about the restoration of the human race in Christ, the gospel is a social gospel from the very outset. There is not even a moment when it is merely individual and private, for even Jesus appeared within Israel. Assuming that religious and social factors can be separated, and assuming that religion is essentially a private experience, sociology of religion is part of a secular policing of the boundaries of religion. It is one method for keeping the church and the gospel in her proper, that is, private, place. Berger's theory is a method for ensuring the church remains within the confines of Christianity. Wells's assertion that social and religious factors influence each other does not save him from this criticism, for that too is based on the assumption that social and religious factors can be separated and made external to one another, at least to the extent that one can influence the other. His analysis denies, even if he would not.
Forgot we had to play an ad. No one reminded us. Gary's not here.
Just finish this paragraph.
Okay.
His analysis denies, even if he would not, that social and economic factors are always also religious and ideological factors, that the religious factors are already operative, and conversely, that religion is always already social and economic. Contrary to his intentions, Wells's central sociological assumptions are founded on the very system of secular modernity that he sincerely wishes to challenge. Hoping to make religion acceptable to its cultured despisers, liberalism was an effort to restate Christian faith in updated modern categories. The defense of liberalism was a twisted Pauline defense. To the secular modernist, we become a secular modernist, that we might win the secular modernist. To the extent that the analysis of Wells and others uncritically employ Berger's sociology of religion, they are, far from saving evangelicalism from going the way of liberalism, almost exactly repeating liberalism's most serious errors. They are assuming Christianity, which is to say, assuming worldliness.
Okay, what do you think about that?
I think he's basically unifying religion and the civil order. This is like this is a very medieval way of thinking about it.
It is,
and it's more biblical. The medievals weren't these dumb barbarians. They actually had it right on these.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Breaking news.
You're telling me now for the first time. Well, before we move on,
you have to go.
Let's do 22. But after we do the ad, we should do 22 because 22 and 23. Then we could finish it out. Let's do 22 and 23 after the ad, and that'll be the end of the chapter. So we're gonna. Something's falling apart. We're gonna do our ad. Gary's not here to do it for us, so I'm doing the best I can. All right, here we go, guys. We'll see you in just a moment.
Real strength starts with honoring God's creation. Mount Athos Performance crafts pure, nutrient-dense products from their family farm to your home using goat milk protein and mineral-rich ingredients without chemicals or shortcuts. Every formula reflects their commitment to faith, purity, and strength. Fuel your pursuit of excellence and get 20% off your order at athosperform.com when you use code NCP20.
If you're like me, you grew up on beef jerky. It was a must-have for any road trip. But most beef jerky is loaded with sugar, soy, and nitrates. Ew. Farmer Bill's is a Christian-owned meat snacks company in South Dakota that offers pasture-raised meat snacks. They make biltong. It's like beef jerky, but air-dried with clean ingredients and way better. The pre-sliced biltong is perfect for protein on the go, and the slab is great for snacking or hosting a party. It's like a large, dry-aged ribeye with perfect marbling of fat.
Go to farmerbillsprovisions.com or click the link in the description below and use code CONTRA to save 20% off your order today.
Farmer Bill's Provisions, the perfect protein snack.
Summer's Pet Treats makes all-natural dog treats using high-quality, human-grade ingredients.
Every ingredient is carefully selected for a specific nutritional value, which means they're healthy.
Ben, are you eating the treat?
Yeah, dude, I got that dog in me.
I don't think that's what they meant by human grade ingredients, but hey, if you want to support a Christian-owned business that believes in the Dominion mandate, then go pick up some healthy dog treats at summerspetTreats.com.
And use code NCP10 at checkout. That's summerspetTreats.com and use code NCP10.
Get that dog in you.
They didn't mention this on the ad, but the Farmer Bill's has a new garlic one. Have you had it?
I haven't had it yet.
Dude,
No.
it's so good. And then they have like a
You didn't bring any?
I ate it all. Yeah, it was funny because I bought like the 6-pack of like the smokehouse one and the garlic, which are the new ones.
I haven't had it yet. No.
And then you get this email. It's like, here's how to store your Bill talk. And I'm like, I already ate it.
I know. Yeah,
This is my story.
Wasted that email. It's wasted on me, man. Yeah. No, that is the worst though. Whenever I get my order, I have to like
so fast.
Well, I have to like eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I put it in the fridge and I come home later, it's all gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Like my kids are gonna eat all of it. And
But use the. I mean, it's a little pricey, but if you use the code, you have to try it because then you're addicted. It's like Farmer Bill's knows that all you have to do is taste it, and then you're hooked forever.
yeah, it's worse than nicotine. You get hooked. All right, number 22.
22.
We're back. The notion, popular among neoconservative Christians, that the church is a mediating institution that contributes to the construction of a civil society between the state and the individual, participates in the same ecclesiological error. The program is well summarized by George Weigel. By being itself, the church also serves as a critical demythologizing function in a democracy. The church's hope is focused on Christ and his kingdom, relativizes all worldly expectation and sovereignties, thus erecting a barrier against the coercive politics of worldly utopianism. By locating the finality of our hope, and thus the object of our highest allegiance in the time beyond time, the church helps create the space for a free, vigorous, and civil interplay of a variety of proposals for ordering public life, none of which is invested with ultimate authority. Thus, Christian eschatology helps to make democracy and the politics of persuasion possible. Despite his emphasis on the church, Weigel operates entirely within the constraints imposed by modern liberalism and secularism. Instead of being an alternative social form, a different sort of city, the church's political role is to aid and abet the play of democratic debate, to contribute to the pluralistic give and take of civil society. The earthly city's public life is the only sort of public life that Weigel recognizes. The church contributes to this public, but is not herself a public. The church is one sector of a civil society rather than a new civil society. It is no accident that Weigel comes to the political proposal through an eschatology that emphasizes the otherworldliness of our final hope. Though that is true in itself, a failure to see the eschaton realized by anticipation, here and now in the church, the failure to grasp the radical alreadiness of the eschaton, permits Weigel to live easily within liberalism, or with liberalism, and enables him to believe subordination to a larger polity is not an error and a failure for the church, but the church's proper public location and calling. All right, Mr. Engel.
He's making a very sacrilegious point.
Oh, yes, he is. Oh, is it? How is that pronounced anyway? Is it sacralism?
I say
Sacralism? I don't really
like
know.
Sacrament.
Is it? It's just a made-up term, right?
I don't know, but it sounds like what Lighthart's pushing.
Oh yeah,
More
yeah.
than what Wolf does, because Lightheart and Wolf are slightly different on this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen is much more classically two kingdoms.
Right.
I don't think they necessarily need to be in conflict. These two visions.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. But the church is an alternative society. It's a different way of living within the world.
Yeah.
And it invades the world, right? The social relations within the body of Christ are entirely different. And as the church conquers the hearts of men and changes their affections, and grace restores their nature, right? It changes the function of civil society. It simply does. And so it isn't just, it was a mediating institution. It's off to the side because, our hope is in something entirely Gnostic, right? Something not Not
Sounds like we got to finish.
not here and now, not in this world, but in the next. So 23. We'll finish off on 23 here. Okay. This is his conclusion to the chapter. The gospel is the announcement that the wall is broken down, and therefore the Gentiles are welcome into the community of the new Israel. On the same basis as the Jews, and thus the gospel is sociology and international relations. The gospel is the announcement that God has organized a new Israel, a new polis, the body of Christ, and that the king has been installed in heaven at the right hand of the Father. Thus, the gospel is politics. The gospel is about the formation of one body in Christ, a body in which each member uses his gifts for the benefit of all, in which each shares the gains and losses of other members, in which each member is prepared to sacrifice his own for the sake of others. Thus, the gospel announces the formation of a Christian economy in the church. The gospel announces a new creation. The gospel brings nothing less than a new world. If we are going to stand for this gospel, we must stand against Christianity. Very good. All right.
He's being provocative, and he provoked me because I like Christianity.
I know.
He got me though.
I use obviously I use that term, and I'm going to continue using that term. And he continues to use that term as well. But he's right.
All right,
he's right.
That's it.
Let's. We haven't. I'm sorry, we haven't really checked the comments here at all today. I don't think there's any. There's any super chats we have to read here. Yeah, there's a lot of comments. I'm not going to be able to read all of them. I'm sorry, everybody. Next, when we have Gary back, we'll be able to read comments. So
They're probably great comments.
Yeah, they are.
We're happy for you. We're sorry that happened.
Yeah, we have the sharpest and brightest audience in the entire
great comments,
all
guys.
of the internet.
Thank you for the comments.
And so I'll go back and read them, but later on. But yeah, I mean this is right, the entire. How do you want to summarize the contents of the second half of this chapter? I mean, I think it's if the church is a new way of living and a new polis and it's public, right? Then all of public life is subordinate to King Jesus.
Right. Yeah, I would say, to summarize it, Christians need to stop looking at how to relate Christianity to politics and relate Christianity to culture. And realize that it is all that. It encompasses it.
It already is politics. It already is culture.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to relate it.
That's how I summarize it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Please go, check out our sponsors.
Farmer Bills
and Athos and
we should treat them all equally.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, of course we should. And I don't have a dog anymore.
We should get a dog though.
We should have like a mascot.
Gary has some dogs.
We should reward him with some high quality dog
hard
treats.
work.
Yeah, and I mean, he, as Ben showed, he can eat them too.
He can eat them too.
So anyway, go there.
Go to get back here. That's all he'll be eating.
That's right. Go to contramundumpod.com and sign up for all the things that we're about to release. It's going to happen, and you can be a top guy and chat with CJ anytime you like, day or night. He answers the chat at 3 a.m, so he doesn't sleep.
That's true.
So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We have a great interview that is coming out on Wednesday.
You can say who it is. It's the translator and Nathan did what? The introduction.
He did the introduction to
Camp of the Saints. New for the first time in 30-40 years.
40 years. Translation of English translation of Camp of the Saints is coming out. And so we talked to those guys about that.
We really focused on the religious aspects of it.
Yeah, it was I think maybe the best interview we've ever done.
Fascinating.
And so hopefully the audio is good on that.
Unfortunately,
the last one, I'm sorry about the last one. The audio was really bad.
Unfortunately, only paying subscribers will get to
so go to contramundumpod.com, sign up for that. You'll have access to that interview, and it's worth it.
Good.
It's worth it to see. All right.
Stay
peacefully dangerous, and we will see you next time. And now we get to do Gary type stuff. Okay, how does this work? Okay.